This is the Dental Up Podcast, your daily source for insights from dentists and leaders in the industry. Brought to you by Keating Dental Lab, a full-service, award-winning dental lab that is here to add value to your dental practice. With high-quality restorations, friendly, reliable service, the best products and prices, come experience the Keating difference. Visit KeatingDentalLab.com for details.
Welcome back to the Dental Lab Podcast. I'm your host, Bob Brandon, the General Manager here at Keating Dental Lab. What a week we've had. 2 more number 1 seeds go down in March Madness. Coach K is still going strong, and the U.S. men's national team took a point from Mexico in the Azteca, but honestly, they should have won that game. And our president returned from Europe after meeting with the NATO alliance over the war in Ukraine. Let's all hope that this truly awful and unfortunate situation can turn around quickly for those affected, those who were displaced, and those still fighting for their country. It's times like these that I'm so thankful to be an American with the strongest, most organized, and well-equipped military in the world. And I'm so grateful to the brave men and women of the United States Armed Forces that will protect our freedom. Those of us not in uniform should always remember that we can put our head down on our pillow each night knowing these fine men and women will protect us from the evils of the world. Thank you to all current and former members of our military community. So in the past, you've heard from dentists that have had long-term relationships with Keating Dental Lab, or ARTS as we were previously known. You've heard them all speak about consistency and communication as being paramount in the dentist-lab relationship. And that's why we purposely built these parameters into our business model. Decision-making becomes simplified and more predictable on both sides of the relationship when each knows the other's tendencies and thought processes. So what happens when a dentist from the other side of the country is faced with a problem of finding a new lab that can handle his expanding volume, can meet his quality expectations and turnaround times? He invested in technology to provide a higher level of service to his patients and needed a lab partner who felt the same. So today, please join me in welcoming to the Dental Up Podcast from Midland Park, New Jersey, and honestly, one of the best dentists I've ever come across in terms of skill and technique, Dr. Patti Veenstra. Good afternoon, Dr. Veenstra. Thank you for joining us today on the Dental Up Podcast. I know you're really busy and spent time at the office this morning. So tell us a little bit about your background. I knew you grew up with dentistry in the home like I did. Tell the Dental Up Podcast world where you went to dental school and what your first job was like.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Bob. We were a dental family. My father was a dentist, and I grew up, probably 3 blocks away from where my father practiced. So it was really kind of the second home. We were there all the time. All the smells are very familiar to me.
Smells are a little bit different though now with technology. But so did you go into practice right away with your father?
I did. I graduated in 2007 from University of Medicine and Dentistry in New Jersey, down in Newark, and went right into private practice with him and his partner at the time.
Fantastic. And tell us a little bit about the evolution of the practice, how many years your father was there and what your setup is like now.
Yeah, he started back in 1981, pretty much the town over from where we grew up. And he was a part of that town for a long, long time. He was a known commodity, as we said.
Yeah.
But he started back in 81 and I think grew his practice. And by the time I got out of dental school, it was him and another partner at the time. And we continued to grow. I think it was almost probably 8 years after I was out, we were just busting at the seams at a tiny little old house, with 4 chairs for ops, 1 little chair for hygiene. And we decided to start another practice basically. And so my father and I went down the road and just opened the doors to another place. So.
Excellent. So then what was the new office like? I know it was obviously bigger and allowed for, expansion of your practice. Did you start from scratch? It was a complete build out for you guys?
It was a complete build out. Yeah, it was down the road. We gutted everything, all brand new ADEC materials and chairs. We turned into a 6-op practice, 2 dedicated hygienes, a surgery room, just somewhere we could keep growing. We didn't want to kind of be held back a little bit. So it was the 2 of us. And we were able to kind of make it the way we wanted it to. Really state of the art, really brand new. It was beautiful. It's been 6 years. It's still beautiful. Yeah.
Wow. Awesome. Mm-hmm. So, and I know you guys have been a known commodity in the community for a long time, but obviously with this, the new office and expansion, tell us how the office has expanded. How do you get new patients? What's your hygiene schedule like? And, how many chairs do you run? Your associate run?
Yeah. So with the growth the past 6 years, we ended up getting an associate this past summer. So in 2021, probably in August, he came on just to help with the load. My father's been, just slowing down a little bit. So we wanted to make sure we had enough, support around to maintain these patients.
And he deserves to.
And he's been done plenty of time, plenty of teeth,
Yep.
So he's enjoying about 2 days a week. I'm in about 4 days a week. The associate's in about 4 days a week. We've got, nights covered 2 nights. We have Saturdays every other Saturday, if not every Saturday, most of the months. And it's been good. Most of our growth, honestly, Bob, has been really internal marketing, just purely patients talking about us. So those are the best kind of patients to get.
It is. Word of mouth is always number one in my book. And, patients recruit other family members, they recruit their friends, their coworkers. But that's a testament to what you and your staff, the service, the really, attention to detail that you provide. And we'll get into some of the numbers because you've been a customer of us here, here at the lab for about a year, but I can tell you are extremely detail oriented.
We've had a lot of conversations back and forth, haven't we? I know.
We have. Yeah. So, okay. So yeah, we started working together, I think in March of 2021, and I started seeing your 3Shape scans coming across. Tell us, how did you first come to know Keating Dental Lab?
To be totally honest, we got out of COVID, and I know everybody was in quite a pinch. There's a lot of labs who had staffing shortage. Everybody was kind of overwhelmed at the time we started getting back into the flow of things. And
Sure.
I had been working with an office a lab that was close by that wasn't able to keep up and wasn't very technology focused. We had gotten into the year before, just started with Trios and the 3Shape scanning, and we loved it. And we wanted to go further with it. They weren't able to handle what we wanted to do, I think, is where we really realized. So we actually started using another really national kind of generic lab who was easy and cheap, but the communication wasn't there. I think the material, the timing, we had a hard time with our, like you said, our detail. We wanted things to be a little more perfect with attention to detail, and we just weren't feeling like they were listening to us. So I think we came across you guys with a flyer one random day, and I said it's worth the shot to my assistant. And so we sent it out, and we've been really happy ever since.
Wow, well, that's fantastic, and I guess that means we got extremely lucky with that flyer because you are truly a fantastic dentist, and I'm not kidding with the attention to detail, because you've done close to 700 restorations with us in this first year, and the remake rate is 0.2%. So that's that's phenomenal, and I can't thank you enough for being such a good dentist and being so attentive. And I know you're teaching your associate all your wonderful habits that you probably learned from your father too. And
Absolutely.
And it's this is really the way dentistry should be practiced, with no surprises. And you've incorporated technology. We've incorporated technology here in the lab. You can send us a file, and 5 minutes later we can open it up, and I know exactly what you did and where the margins are, and kind of like your plan. There's a couple times we talk about cases, but they're they're usually the bigger, more complicated implant type work. Why don't you tell the Dental Lab podcast listeners what exactly you're using the Trios for?
We've gotten to the point where we want to use the Trios really with everything. And, that being said, when we started working with Keating, with you guys, we were kind of, our eyes were open more to what we could do, because you guys do value technology. So we were able to kind of take even restorable aspects or prosthetic aspects. And we were really happy to get even more involved. We say there's such a fudge factor sometimes with, emailing, or I'm sorry, with actually snail mail models and pouring up in the PVS or polyether or whatever we're using. We feel like the digital technology is so much more exact. And like you said, even just being able to identify my margins for you ahead of time so that you can see exactly, what we're talking about. If there was bleeding on a margin, we can, rescan it real quick and get it out to you. And I think that was a huge bonus for us, that we feel really confident about what we're able to send you, that you see what we see.
Absolutely. I mean, the technology is wonderful. It really, in my opinion, it limits or eliminates the number one source of error that we see from clinicians, which is physical impression taking, the PVS, dimensional stability, distortions, all that. And conversely, on our end, the number one source of error is pouring up that primary die model, that working model. And by incorporating technology and using computerized files, STL files of the preps and adjacent dentition and opposing dentition, we've really eliminated those two large sources of error, and thus we're seeing the results that we get.
Absolutely. It's been great. And hopefully, moving into prosthetics as far as removable dentures or partials, that's been a great add-on too.
It's very exciting. I mean, we're growing by leaps and bounds in our removable team with CAD/CAM applications. And just a couple of weeks ago, we started scanning a model, but we can take it from your physical scan as well. You can scan, a full arch for us. You can sort of put in where you want to do some rest seats, and we don't even have to generate a model anymore. We can actually take your scan, put it into a slightly different version of the 3Shape software we design crowns from. It's a removable application, removable module for 3Shape. And we can design a partial. We have 5 wax printers here, resin printers, that we can print out the cast framework, and then we cast it. And it saves us so much time.
So that's huge. And the fact that you guys are continually pushing and looking for better ways of doing things and making it better, that's our philosophy too. We always want to be doing the best. So,
well, you guys are. I've seen it for a year. I've lived it every single day with you for the past year. And yeah, I can't thank you. I remember when we got probably your 5th or 6th scan, I went into Sean Keating, the owner here, and I told him, I said, Sean, this is a name we have to remember. Dr. Veenstra is easily in the top 1%. And Sean's words were, take care of him, make sure he's one of ours. So,
and really, we've been over the moon, I think, from my assistants too, just the communication that you guys have had with us. And always, if I have a question, I know I can call Bernie, or I can call Barry, or I can call you, Bob. And it's like, you guys know our work. You're on top of it. I don't feel like you get passed around. So that was one of our biggest pluses, just the relationship. It's been great.
Absolutely. And I concur. And I have the same exact feeling about your staff. Your staff, your phone support staff is phenomenal. And they convey details. They are extremely polite. They are very attentive. And yeah, I mean, this goes hand in hand. And I know that's how they treat your patients as well.
For sure.
So what types of restorations are you prescribing most frequently here with Keating Dental Lab?
We do a lot of crown and bridge day in, day out with you guys. We love that. We do a lot of implants also with you, which has been excellent. The scan bodies and even some of the scanning healing caps that we have now, which just makes it so easy to scan something over, send it your way, and get a really nice looking tooth back. So even some of the smiles, the veneer cases that we've done together have been just beautiful. Just really beautiful. So we're keeping as much in and out with you and the scanning all in one. It's been great. It's been really good.
So how many labs were you using if, and I know we've never talked about this, but how many labs were you using prior to joining Keating Dental?
It's like talking about ex-girlfriends now.
Yeah, no,
Like,
I'm sorry. It's a bad
oh,
question.
man.
I'm sorry.
We bounced around. I think the past 6 years, especially, we've kind of gone through a little bit of evolution, especially when we integrated technology, especially when we're trying to do a little more scanning and things that were advanced. We wanted to find somebody who can help us with, and we tried. I can't even tell you. We've tried local guys. We've tried the most expensive guys. We tried the cheapest guys, out of New York City and national, and we were looking for just somebody who had everything, somebody who had it all. And we went through a handful at a time. So I think after COVID, it really thinned the herd out for us a little bit. And thankfully that flyer made it to my desk. So yeah, enough said.
Yeah, thankfully. Yeah, I read something, this is a couple months back, where unfortunately COVID put 12% of US based laboratories out of business. And that was just
Wow.
a horrible statistic that, and we were one of the labs where we decided to keep our doors open. Myself, Patrick, Bernie, Jeanette, a couple other staff, we were here every day during COVID because our philosophy was we have to keep open because there's going to be dentists that are going to stay open and they're going to need services. So, when the pandemic or everybody was sort of coming out of the pandemic, I mean, that's when our growth here really took off. And we're still seeing that. We're still seeing new customers calling in saying, yeah, my lab, they decided to go out of business. They decided to close up shop. And yeah, I mean, it's very sad. It's very sad for the industry, but I'm really thankful that flyer came across your desk. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that, some things are meant to be. I mean, we were meant to meet.
Absolutely. There's always a path, that's for sure.
Yeah. So as a relatively new customer with Keating, tell us, what's it like? You mentioned a little bit about the conversations and picking up the phone and calling Barry, me, or Bernie. Can you comment on the consistency and the quality and the timing of the work?
Well, that was one of our probably one of our happiest moments, is realizing that, after a month of the honeymoon phase, you guys still had excellent work and you still were on time. And I think we remember talking to the assistants and myself, and we said, well, when is this going to end? We're used to getting wooed at front, and then you have that, okay, now we get handed off, or now we're the last one on the list, but that hasn't come yet. We've been happy with that, just being able to see that consistency. When you say it's going to be there, it's going to be there. If not a day sooner sometimes, which has been great. If there is a question, just about contact or about margins or about what I'd like a restoration to look like, it's there every time. And, just putting a little note in my chart or my file, whatever you guys have, that it makes a difference. And I know that when I talk to anybody who's there looking at my work, they know, oh, Dr. Veenstra likes it this way, and he likes whatever kind of contacts. And you guys have been really on top of that. We feel, like you're treating us like a person, which has been great.
Yeah. And I mean, that's been our business philosophy since day one. I mean, there's, you talked about the honeymoon phase and when is it going to end? But, here in the lab on the lab side of things, we call that bait and switch. And we've never adopted that model. It's a very limited thinking. It doesn't allow for any long-term growth of your business or on the lab side. We give you a team. You have one designer, and that designer does know what you like. He has it's a cheat sheet, honestly. When we print out your written instructions through the Trios portal, we then generate what's called a work ticket on our side, and it has your name, your patient's name, the tooth number, the restoration, but it also has all of your preferences. And that's our key to being consistent. You have one layering ceramist, you have one, monolithic ceramist, and you've got one guy doing your implant work. So that's your team. And that's the way that we can give you consistent results.
It's been working. It's been really great. Don't feel like just another number, so it's good.
I just gave away all our secrets to any other lab competitor. We're gonna have to go back and edit that. So Before we wrap up, and again, I want to thank you because I know you're super busy. But what advice would you give to a young dentist that's just starting out?
When you start out with dentistry, I think you're very excited. You've got this great knowledge base. You've been training and learning, and you get out. I think you get out a little anxious, ready to go, excited to do what you've learned. And I think sometimes you focus on the doing so much, you don't focus on necessarily the relationships that you're making, with patients, but also with labs, also with your staff and colleagues. And it's a great profession, and you get a lot of relationships. I think don't miss that early on. As you grow those relationships, they'll be with you and it'll really reap benefit for you down the road. If you're really focused on that, you'll have a great career.
That is a pearl. That's fantastic. And I've heard, I've heard my own father, who was a dentist also, I've heard him say that. And I mean, I think when he retired, he had been to over 250 of his own patients' weddings. And I remember, as a kid playing soccer, and I wish my dad was there, but, he was at, one of his patients' weddings or something. But, but that's it. That's the secret right there is creating the relationship with your patients, with your staff, with your coworkers, and your lab can be a coworker, for the consistency. And if you have the consistency in your business model, your patients will really pick up on it. Okay, last item, because I know you're busy and I know you want to get to some free time. What do you like to do when you do have some free time? And I know you don't have much of it now, but
oh man, my free time. What free time?
Yeah.
We have twins, but we just had twins 4 months ago, and we have 3 older daughters. So I have 4 girls and one boy in the house. So our free times are mainly taking out the garbage.
Yeah.
With all the diapers we have. But we love being together. Our family just, being able to do something where I could take my girls to the zoo or have a nice long walk. We really just take advantage of time together. And I think, we work hard, but we get a chance to play hard too. And our family and our friends around it they make that special. And just to be able to be us and relax sometimes is enough for me.
Awesome. No, that's fantastic. I love hearing that because I can tell you're a very devoted family man. You're a very devoted clinician and business owner. And anytime you want to bring the family out here to Southern California, we've got Disneyland, we've got the beaches. Let me tell you, we're going to hook you up. It's going to be in style.
Oh, I hope my wife's not listening. That's great. I looked at 7 plane tickets. I know.
I got you. Absolutely. Wow.
Thanks, Bob.
Well, Dr. Veenstra, thank you so much for your time. And again, all the best to you guys. And I can't thank you enough. I mean, I could tell from the first week that you started sending work to us that we were going to have a long-term relationship. And it was because I could tell that your business, your practice was aligned with the way we do things here at the laboratory. And it's going to be a long-term relationship. We'll have a similar discussion, when the twins are graduating from high school,
Wow.
Okay. Well, again,
thanks so much, Bob. Yeah.
Thank you. Be well.
Thank you for listening to the Dental Up podcast, your daily source for insights from dentists and leaders in the industry. This episode is sponsored by Keating Dental Lab, here to add value to your dental practice. With high-quality restorations, friendly, reliable service, the best products and prices, come experience the Keating difference. Visit KeatingDentalLab.com for details.